Here we are again. It's Jesuit Lunch Hour powered by beajesuit.org. I am Father Michael Rossman, and today I am joined by Deacon Martin Ngo. Welcome to Jesuit Lunch Hour, Martin.
Thanks, Michael, for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And as I told Martin before, it's just an excuse to hang out because I love this guy, but we haven't been able to spend much time together in recent years. So, Martin, why don't you tell us at the beginning just a little bit about your background? Where did you grow up, and what led you to the Jesuits?
Absolutely, absolutely. I always like to start with my parents as immigrants from the Vietnam War. They came over to the States in '81, and I was born shortly after. My two sisters were born after me, and then in Southern California, we grew up in Orange County. And yeah, we kind of lived in that bubble. So I grew up there. I went to my undergrad at UC Irvine, studied computer science, got into digital arts and theater there. And then I met the Jesuits when I was in high school. I think a couple of Jesuits in Regency were doing kind of Kairos retreats in the public realm. And then I got kind of looped in at an early age doing youth and young adult ministry. Yeah, and then I started discerning. My discernment was like the longest discernment. It was like 10 years of just like, when I was 16, just like this idea, when I think it was on the Kairos retreat. I was, I found myself, I always tell the story of me, just after reconciliation, I was just writing a letter to God, and I remembered just bawling my eyes out, feeling this incredible love. And I just wanted to say, I'd give my life to you, but I didn't know what that meant for 10 years. Yeah, and so I went to college, got my computer science degree. I started kind of doing everything. I was in a number of kind of long-term relationships. And then finally, it just hit that I want to discern in a real way religious life, and I started that conversation seriously when I was about 26 years old. I was working at City Hall in the systems department, and around that time, like, I think the economy was starting to get bad, and so it was just everybody was just kind of questioning, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I am very tired of kind of waking up kind of in a quiet desperation every day." And I didn't know what that was. I just I'm like an energetic person, but I can't lie that, like, the first feelings I felt waking up was like, man, this is not right. Like, I don't know what that feeling is. And so it really pushed me to ask deeper questions, I guess. And so, and that was good. That was good to have a community. I was part of a CLC group type of thing, friends who we're all, we laughed together, we ate together a lot. Those were the two things we did most, but, But along with that, it was really nice to have to be in company with people who are used to asking tougher questions and can help each other, mirror back, like, our feelings, deeper desires, things like that. That was really helpful in the process. And then I went on the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, was on a retreat with my CLC group led by Jesuit Tridin, who heads Christus Ministries. Anyway, we were all reading the same book on the retreat, Life of the Beloved by Henry Nouwen. And I think that was kind of, for me, the breaking point. I think for the first time I read the four words together of Henry Nouwen talking about the Eucharist. Take, bless, break, and give. And I think that just came together, I think. And but a funny story too. Afterwards, I was driving Father Tree back home on the freeway back to his community at LMU at the time, and I was crying so bad. I was like sobbing, and I'm driving, saying like I really need to explore my religious vocation. Da, da, da. Anyway, fast forward later, I think he mentioned to me, he was like, yeah, I do remember that moment. But he said, I was scared at the time because I thought you'd crash the car. You were crying so hard. So I like to tell that story. But yeah, that's how it started. And that entered in 2009 at the novitiate in Culver City with 9 other brothers. So that was what I mean. We're still close today, so that's good. At least the 6 of us who are still here. So
yeah. So you talked about a rather lengthy discernment process, and then you entered in 2009, and then you've gone through a rather lengthy formation process. But you are coming to the end of that, at least the end of the process before priestly ordination. So you, congratulations, recently were ordained a transitional deacon, right? And then you'll be ordained a priest this coming June. How is it being a deacon and preparing for priesthood?
Man, what a trip! What a trip! I mean, it's good to kind of share the same story with some of the guys here in terms of like the culmination over the years, like going from one place in formation to another. In novitiate, I was in Jamaica as my first kind of short experiment, working in an elementary school there, and then like a parish school setting in Sacramento, and then doing studies. This is where I met you in Chicago. Oh man, that was great. And then off to doing young adult ministry with Christus for a year, Bourbon Day High School, taught for 2 years there, theology and digital media arts. And that was, I think, when it hit the first time, kind of thinking about, okay, now this is for real. This is for real. Write that letter to, become deacon, or to go into theology studies with the intention of being ordained. And I think ever since then, I was nervous, of course, but the feeling is that like the same feeling that kind of led me into religious life was just basically God saying, like, you know what, if it'll work, you'll know kind of in your heart, I'll lead you. You won't have to be afraid, because I'm really good at kind of anxiety. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at just, trying everything, doing everything just to make sure. But I think the only way forward at the end of the day is always kind of the same, going back to prayer and saying, God, I can't do this without you. Like, you need to, I mean, like, please, help me to look forward. So I felt that this peace. My mentor passed away, Father Michael Mandala, at the time was the president of Bourbon Day High School, had said something really simple to me when I was writing the letter to go to theology to think about ordination. He said, just look at how God made you. Just look at how God made you. The kinds of questions that keep coming up in your heart, the kinds of things that make your heart feel full and big, the kinds of things that make your worries go away, like that's kind of what he was saying. Like, that's the grace that will point you in the right direction. I finished that letter to theology in an hour. The same spirit kind of followed as I was studying in Boston College. We had to write another letter around our second year to petition into the diaconate. And it's been that same kind of, when I look to God and I'm like, do you want me to do this? Because Lord, this is what you get. This is what you're working with. And we're all, I think we're all half honest with each other, with ourselves. It's, we're not perfect. Oh my gosh. And it's thank gosh somebody is, at the wheel that's not us, and is willing to work with, and is more than happy and wants to work with us the way we are. Anyway, all that's to say that it was nice to feel that, like, not just that, like, God was going to be like, oh, like, oh, I'm not going to keep calling you forward, but there was more of a feeling of like, it will be okay. Whether you go left, whether you go right, I'll be with you. Just keep coming back to me. And it just so happens that I'm like, okay, which means, okay, I guess I'm going forward with this diaconate. I'm not, the next stage. And here I am in a church that's just really broken. I mean, we like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, 2020, am I right? 2020! Sorry, Michael, I'm having an interview. There's no shortage of just the craziness, and yet God's still there, and we can still come back to God. It's this weird reality of like, the world has no shortage of crazy, and yet God has no shortage of love and patience for us through it all, and that's enough. That's enough. I mean, for me, the diaconate. I mean, as you could imagine, diaconate life. I'm working at the Boston's Basilica, or they call it Mission Church, and it's really low key. I've helped with a baptism. I've helped with like a marriage, but it's just been really, moving to feel like, walking with people together in this time where things are just really uncertain, and we just need to stay together as best as we can. But that's a very long answer to a very good question. I was like, let's keep it short for Michael, and
No, this is great. This is great. And so you are in your final year of theology studies.
Yeah.
And so you're helping as a deacon. And then what might be in store for you down the line after ordination?
Around this time, it's I guess it's still a little bit early to know exactly the clear details of my first assignment after I leave Boston, if God willing, in May, and get ordained in June. But there has been kind of initial conversations with my formation director, and it may likely have to do with content creation, which is something I know you are modeling so very well for us, Michael. Thank you so much. It's just, but that would be really exciting. I look forward to kind of maybe getting a little studio space, maybe getting a little budget to kind of work with just kind of content creation in all its different ways, to partner with lay people and leaders to kind of build platforms for the future. What does it mean exactly? I don't know, but that's kind of a possibility. I'll likely be stationed at a church, maybe somewhere on the West Coast for my pastoral year. But yeah, so thinking about that is another thing to another something that makes me look forward. Yeah. So, but I'm really encouraged most of all when every week, my biggest responsibility at the parish is the pastor asked me to help kind of start up this adult faith formation program. And the group, we meet on Zoom, of course. They're so diverse. And they're just, what a great reminder that like the people of God are, they're very capable. They ask great questions. They think they're I get glimpses of like, this is our future together. We're gonna walk side by side. We're gonna hopefully continue to renew the face of the church, beginning at like parishes. That makes me very excited, makes me very hopeful, because yeah, so I look forward to that. I look forward to that very much. No.
That's exciting, and it's exciting to think about you being, rooted in particular communities while at the same time, sharing the gifts that you have received, more widely as well online. Martin, I often ask, as a way of kind of concluding things, what advice might you give to a person in discernment? That could be someone thinking about the Jesuits, or a person in any stage of life discerning something in his or her path.
Wow, that's great. That's great. It feels like I should know off the top of my head.
I mean, you had so many years to think about it when you were in discernment yourself.
And so, yes, exactly. I had many years of doing it the wrong way, and but if I was to say one thing, I mean, I would say if I were to close my eyes and just ask God the boldest question, I would say stick to asking God bold questions about your deep desires, and spend time listening to that and moving from there as what makes your heart full of love, and what makes your spirit calm or serene. You don't have to be a calm person or anything like that, but I mean the sense of what is home for you, and can you return to that and ask God that big question, and I would say really be bold in your prayers. I would say just to say, God, I think this is what you might be asking me to look at. Can you please help me, guide me forward? So that's something off the top of my head, I would say has just been invaluable, and it's something that makes me not afraid of the future, because I'm less afraid of what I might be tomorrow, in the sense of what's my job, what's my role. I've grown to be just more concerned about what, God, how do I stay in relationship with you in a way where I can follow Jesus and not be afraid of what comes next. And I think our Jesuit life is a way that has been so enriching for a number of us. But also leads us to greater freedom too. I don't know. So that's kind of a messy nutshell, but.
No, I think that's great. I mean, what you're describing in Ignatian language, we might say, is consolation. I like that question of where is home for you, at such a deep level. Perhaps, also in hearing your story, I might add, if someone has tears like you experienced on that drive back from the retreat, I'd say pay attention. Sometimes those tears can also be a pretty significant indication that those holy desires are stirring. Martin Ngo, it is always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm delighted that others get to experience all that is Martin Ngo as well through this conversation. This has been Jesuit Lunch Hour, as always, powered by beajesuit.org. Thanks so much. We're going to take off next week for Thanksgiving week, but we'll be back with another great Jesuit after that. Thanks so much, Martin.
Thanks, Michael. It's great to be with you.